Hey, it's me again, Brandon Nichols, Savage Time TV, back at it again with another episode. Today, I'm going to give you guys my top 10 NBA players of the decade. I think you guys will really like this. It's a sport, one of my first sport episodes. I love sports, always watching it, always into it, especially basketball. And I'm going to give you guys my top 10 NBA players of the decade and why. Like, comment, subscribe, Instagram, Facebook, Savage Time TV. Let's get this thing started. At number 10, I got Kobe Bryant. I know you guys are going to say, oh my gosh, how's Kobe Bryant number 10? But listen. First off, everybody knows Kobe's greatest decade was the 2000s. His 2010 was injury-ridden, had a lot of ups and downs. I'm kind of giving him the number 10 spot only. Wait. Actually, before we even get to number 10, honorable mentions. I'm tripping. Honorable mentions. We got Derrick Rose, who played for my favorite team, the Chicago Bulls. You guys already know, youngest MVP ever. Came into the league, completely changed it. He was a Russell Westbrook before Russell Westbrook. He was killing Rondo when everybody said Rondo was the best defender in the league. Nobody could stop him. He was the biggest threat to the Miami Heat Big Three. And like I've told people before, that last year he got injured when Joakim Noah actually finished first team. I think we could have and we would have beat the Heat that year and went on to win the NBA title, because we would have went against either I think it was the OKC Thunder. We would have won against. We would have beat them. Derrick Rose was unstoppable back then. My other two honorable mentions are LaMarcus Aldridge. Everybody knows he used to do and put in work down at Portland. He continues in San Antonio. He's still pretty productive, but I think his heyday was when he was in Portland. And Damian Lillard, another Portland Trailblazer. That guy, he's a great player. One of the best point guards in the league. I think he's one of the, if not the best deep range shooter. Not saying he's a better shooter than someone like Steph Curry, but when it comes to that deep range shot, we all remember that shot he gave over Paul George. So back to number 10, Kobe Bryant. Like I said, it was a lot of injury ridden, up and down. He gets here kind of a lot off of legacy. I'm not the biggest Kobe Bryant fan. I kind of think he's a little bit overrated. That's going to be a good video I'm going to do later. But number 10, Kobe Bryant, he's Kobe Bryant. Played for the Lakers, 60 points in his final game, dropped the mic, all due respect. Number 9's D Wade. We just saw, everybody knows Dwayne Wade, Miami Heat. He's a part of my Miami Big Three down in South Beach, 2 titles in 4 years. I think the third greatest shooting guard of all time. I think it goes Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade. You can switch those. I kind of might even say he's over Kobe Bryant, and we'll get into that later, like I said. But I think Dwayne Wade is very underrated, but he comes in at number 9 on my list. Number 8, Steph Curry. I got number 8, Steph Curry, as players of the decade. Everybody knows what he did down there in Golden State with Clay, Draymond, and those guys, especially when they added Kevin Durant, getting all those titles, basically redefining the game, proving that you can win with a jump shooting team, the first unanimous MVP, set all the records for three-point shots made. He's probably the greatest shooter we've ever seen. There are reasons why I have him at number 8, though. One, I do think some of his titles come by asterisks, because everybody knows when they first got their first title, they went up against, I think every team in the Western Conference was missing their starting point guard. They've always gotten that injury bug to help them out in their first couple titles. You guys know what I'm talking about. And I think it came back to bite him with Kevin Durant this past year. I think, just karma came back to get him, because everybody knows his first couple titles were a little iffy. And he also drops below because he was a part of that team that gave up the 3-1 lead in the finals. That happened. I know you guys don't like to act like it happened, but it happened. He was up 3-1, lost game 7 in his house, and he's the unanimous MVP, like you said. You can't be that high on my list when something like that's on your record. Number 7 is the guy that made that possible. Kyrie Irving hit the shot over Steph Curry, and I think Kyrie Irving is probably has the best handles in the game. One of the best ISO point guards. He's Steph Curry's he's arch nemesis. I think that's the one guy that puts fear in Steph Curry's heart is Kyrie Irving. over there in Brooklyn right now, he's having an up and down year. When he plays, it's great, but he's always been a little bit of injury bugged. I think when KD comes back, they're going to do great things over there in Brooklyn, but it can't speak for what he did in Cleveland. Him and LeBron, one of the best 1-2 punches ever. Like I said, he was a part of that team that came back from 3-1 down to beat what everybody says is the greatest team ever with Steph Curry and all those guys. They came back. He was the point guard of that team. He hit the shot. So for that, he gets number 7 on my list of top 10 players of the decade. Coming in at number 6, Russell Westbrook. This guy's underrated. It's so crazy. People said you couldn't even think they would ever see somebody average a triple-double for a season after Oscar Robertson did it. This guy did it not once, not twice, but 3 times. And not 3 separate times, 3 back-to-back-to-back seasons. And he got an MVP. This guy, Russell Westbrook, puts it all on the floor. I don't think there's anybody in the league that plays harder than this guy. He can shoot a little bit less from the 3, but, I mean, how can you argue? When he's giving you 25-plus points, 10-plus assists, 10-plus rebounds. And he's not a bad defender. And he's been doing this for a while now. And all throughout the decade, I don't think you can ever say Russell Westbrook was ever not one of the top point guards in the league. When he first started off with the young Russell Westbrook, James Harden coming off the bench, Kevin Durant and those boys, Serge Ibaka, he was doing his thing. When they left, he was still doing his thing. When James Harden left, he stepped up. When KD went out and it was injured for that season, he took the OKC Thunder to the playoffs and won an MVP. So it's like, when has there been a year when Russell Westbrook hasn't been a top point guard? The only reason why I can't put him higher on my list is because, like we all know, he doesn't have any championships. And people like to say he kind of likes to not even shrink, because I won't say he shrinks, because it's not like he doesn't take the shots. He takes the shots. They just don't always go in. But I think when it comes to relentlessness, athleticism, and just putting it all on the floor every night, you can't get better than Russell Westbrook. I think the only thing stopping him at this point is that hardware. Next up, number 5, my guy, probably my favorite player in the league right now, James Harden of the Houston Rockets. This guy is a bona fide bucket getter. That's all he does. As Bill Russell said, the game's all about buckets, and that's all that James Harden gets, straight buckets. He's basically mastered the game on the offensive end. He can't be stopped. You can't guard him. He's manipulated the rules as such where I'm either going to go to the foul line, I'm going to get an open step back 3, a layup, or I'm going to get an assist to Capella, or I'm going to give that thing to the corner to PJ Tucker. He's completely mastered that offense that Mike D'Antoni has implemented. And I think a lot of people underrate him for reasons I don't really understand. Like, all he does, he plays every game. He doesn't take any games off. He gives you guys what you want. He gives you buckets. Gives you nothing but buckets. They say the playoffs. I understand that one that he had against the San Antonio Spurs. Granted, he definitely shouldn't have let bald spot Ginobili block his shot. No, shouldn't have happened. But at the same time, who has he really lost to? The Golden State Warriors. And who's really beating the Golden State Warriors except for that guy that's gonna come up later? No one. So it's like, yeah, you guys say, oh, he hasn't won the chip, but okay, he lost to the Golden State Warriors. If the Golden State Warriors aren't this super team, I'm pretty sure James Harden and the Rockets get one. So, and honestly, to me, he's the greatest scorer of my generation, and definitely the greatest scorer of this decade. I mean, come on, guys. This guy led the league in total points, total assists, total 3 points made, and total free throws made. Those are usually 4 different players. This guy did it all in one season. All right, number 4 is that guy, the guy that everybody knows is a fun guy, the Terminator, Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard is number 4 on my list because, one, what he did with Toronto Raptors, unprecedented. Just goes over there. They just rented him for a year. He just wins the NBA championship. He did something for them that some franchises have never achieved in decades. He just brought them a championship and just kept it pushing. And as everybody knows, in his days in San Antonio, where he won his titles, his Defensive Players of the Year, and his Finals MVP for his defense on LeBron. But Kawhi Leonard, he earns that number 4 spot. He's one of the best, if not the best, two-way player in the league. He locks up, puts out buckets. His only downplay, I would say, is the load management piece, the not playing every game, and the injuries. But other than that, I mean, Kawhi, kind of, if he stays on this pace, is on. I'm pretty sure he's going to get into the Hall of Fame. He's pretty much on a historic pace. He's gotten 2 titles with 2 different teams. He's gotten, only thing he really needs to get, I think, is a regular season MVP. He has some MVPs. He can be doing his thing. Number 3, I've got AD, Anthony Davis. This guy can do everything that almost anybody else can do, except for, I think, maybe not shoot the 3-ball ridiculously well, maybe like a KD or a Steph, but he makes up for that on the defensive end. He can score more efficiently than most of those players, down into the post, mid-range. He has all those advantages over players like that you might say are higher, like a KD. And he can also play better defense. And he can play better defense on 1 through 5. AD, basically, I think, is probably the most versatile player in the league next to LeBron James. Only thing he's really missing is that hardware, and that kind of comes from where he was drafted. He went to the Pelicans. There wasn't a lot happening in New Orleans. He could have done more, but I think that's the only reason why he's not even higher on this list, because he never got the hardware. He doesn't have any NBA championships. I think if he could get maybe some regular season MVPs, that would help his case a lot. Coming in at number 2, Kevin Durant. This is easy money sniper, 30 points in his sleep. Second best player on the planet. Some people think he's the best player on the planet. We knew what he did in Golden State. Got those 2 titles, got those 2 Finals MVPs over LeBron James. When he was a young gun in OKC, he lost to LeBron James, running with Russell Westbrook and James Harden. But this guy's probably the best pure, maybe the best pure scorer in the league. Maybe, I don't think he's better than James Harden, but as far as efficiency-wise, I think he is a more efficient scorer. So when it comes to efficiency, I think he's the best at that. Scoring efficiency, I think you get the best with Kevin Durant. I think the better scorer is James Harden, but we'll get into that later. Kevin Durant, the only thing really holding him down is the injuries. He's injured this year. He doesn't play. He had a finals loss to LeBron. There's things that he can't do that other players can't do, like he's not big on passing, he's not much of a rebounder, and he's just so far getting into maybe defensive. Like, he gets a lot of blocks, but he's 7 foot. You kind of should be blocking the ball. You're 7 foot tall. But this is all NBA talent. He's been all NBA every year that he's been in this decade, 9 for 9. So him and LeBron are the only guys to do that. So he gets number 2 on my list. Number 1 is the king, the chosen one, LeBron James. Everybody knows what he did when he dismantled the hopes and dreams of Steph Curry. They were up 3-1, came back, took it in his house, brought another championship to Cleveland. We know when he was a part of the Heatles with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, they got those 2 titles in 4 years. We know about the demise in Dallas. Everybody knows about that. That's his one asterisk. But other than that, what can you really say about the guy? He's led any team he's been on in assists every year he's been in the league. He doesn't play point guard. He's top 10 in points and assists. And again, he's not a point guard, so I don't see how he can score with the best of them, and he can pass with the best of them. He's also probably the smartest, probably has the highest basketball IQ of anybody in the league. Everybody that watches basketball can see that. He can take any team and make them into an instant playoff contender. The Toronto Raptors only existed because he left and he went to the West Coast. But other than that, what else can you say about LeBron? He also has the hardware with 4 MVPs. This is LeBron James. This has basically been his decade ever since he's been in the league. But the 2010s, it's pretty much been LeBron or bust. He's been to the finals 8 times out of this decade. He could go again this year with the Lakers and win that championship. I'm pretty sure they're going to be representing the West in the finals. So it's like, who else has a better resume for the 2010s than LeBron James? He's done everything everybody's asked of him and more. He didn't really need that other title in Cleveland, but he just went and got that. And the fashion he did it against who he did it against, just was the icing on the cake. And I think LeBron James deserves that number 1 spot. That's going to conclude my top 10 players of the decade. Again, it's Brandon, Savage Time TV. Like, comment, and let me know your top 10. And follow us on YouTube, Savage Time TV. Search bar, Savage Time TV, and I'll be there. All right, thank you.